The Knight's Tales: The Adventures of Sir Lancelot the Grey by Gerald Morris, illustrated by Aaron Renier. Many years ago, according to legend, the great King Arthur brought justice to England with the help of the gallant Knights of the Round Table. One of these worthy knights was Sir Lancelot. Maybe you've heard the name. He was a knight so fearless, so dashing, and so shiny and clean that to be rescued or challenged by him would truly be an honor. He was quite good at defending the helpless, protecting the weak, and jousting with strangers, as long as he'd had a nap that day. As you will see in this adventure story you hold in your hands, it was but a blessing and a course to be successful and intelligent, but such was the life of Sir Lancelot the Great. Combining strength, a good heart, sharp intelligence, and a fondness for afternoon naps, Lancelot reflects Morris' view that true heroes are good in fights, but equally capable of solving problems non-violently and of not letting all the shiny armor go to their heads. Kirkus Review's starred review: an irreverent and an unabashedly silly exploration of Arthur's court and his most influential knight. Review by the Bulletin. Chapter 1: The Knight in Shining Armor. Many years ago, the storytellers say, a great king brought justice to England. The king's name was Arthur, and he surrounded himself with brave knights in shining armor, whom he sent out to defend the helpless and protect the weak. They rescued damsels in distress, slew troublesome dragons, and fought against wicked knights who used their weapons to oppress the defenseless. The wicked knights were called recreants, which means something like cowardly bullies, and one by one they were driven to England. In this way, King Arthur brought peace to the land, and tales of his court at Camelot were told wherever people met. Indeed, tales of King Arthur and his knights in shining armor were even told across the sea. In France, where they came to the ears of a young prince named Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot had just been knighted by his father, King Ban of Benioff, and although he was very young, he showed great promise in the knightly arts. When Sir Lancelot heard about King Arthur's knights, nothing would satisfy him but to join their number. "I must go to England, to King Arthur," Sir Lancelot told King Ban, "for his knights are the greatest knights of all." "Are they?" asked King Ban. "Yes, father, they have the bravest hearts, the noblest souls, and the shiniest armor in all the world." "Shiniest armor?" repeated King Ban. "Everyone says so." Sir Lancelot assured his father, "I wish to go to Camelot." Ban was a wise king and an even wiser father, so he replied, "Very well, go to Camelot. You should do well there, for you already have a brave heart and a noble soul. Besides being very skilled with your weapons, you have my blessing." "Thank you, father," Sir Lancelot replied gratefully, but, father." "Yes, Lancelot?" "You didn't say anything about my armor. Is it not shining enough?" A few days later, Sir Lancelot led his great horse onto a ship bound for England. He carried a long lance in one hand, and his mind was alive with dreams of glory. Arriving in England, he set out at once for Camelot, stopping to practice with his sword and lance, to polish his armor, and to take short naps after lunch. Strictly speaking, afternoon naps were not required for knights, but Sir Lancelot found them refreshing. On his third day, just as he began to think he should be nearing Camelot, a heavy spring rain set in. Rain is never enjoyable for someone in armor. It makes a deafening noise on the metal helmet and always leaks in at the neck and shoulders. To Sir Lancelot, though, this rain was even more distressing, because it turned the paths to mud, and In no time, his armor was splashed all over with dirty spots. When at last the rain stopped, Sir Lancelot turned his attention to his spattered appearance. Moving his lance to his left arm, he drew a towel from his saddlebags and began scrubbing at his armored legs. Soon he was absorbed in the task, paying no attention to where his course was taking him. Just then, the loud drumming of the horses' hooves disturbed him from his polishing. Sir Lancelot looked up to see a knight in armor bearing down on him with his spear leveled. Realizing that this must be one of those recreant knights he'd heard of, Sir Lancelot readied himself for battle. He had no time to shift his lance to his right arm, so he met the knight's charge left-handed, popping his attacker very neatly from his saddle. "There, now," Sir Lancelot said to the fallen knight, "stop being so recreant and attacking people when they are busy." With that, he turned back to his armor. A moment later, though, Sir Lancelot was interrupted again by a different charging knight. "Bother," said Sir Lancelot, knocking the second knight from his horse. "Please go away. Can't you see I'm occupied?" When a third knight charged just a few seconds later, Sir Lancelot began to feel annoyed. He was only halfway down with one leg and at this rate would never get himself cleaned up. "Serves you right," he said to the third challenger after unhorsing him like the others. "You were very rude, you know." In all, Sir Lancelot defeated 16 knights and was glad that English recreant knights attacked one at a time. If they had charged all at once instead of taking turns, he probably would have had to put down his towel. As it was, in between knights, he was able to wipe the mud from one leg and half his breastplate. After the parade of knights had ceased, though, a new sound disturbed Sir Lancelot's labors. Looking up, Sir Lancelot was astonished to see that he was surrounded by a crowd of people, all cheering wildly as he started. A smiling man in a long red cape walked up to where Sir Lancelot sat. "My goodness," said Sir Lancelot, "where did all of you come from?" "Unknown knight, I congratulate you," the smiling man said. "Never have I seen such skill. You have won our tournament." "Tournament?" repeated Sir Lancelot blankly. "Oh, so that's why those fellows kept attacking me. They weren't recreant knights at all." "You didn't know you were in a tournament?" the smiling man asked. "I wasn't paying very close attention," explained Sir Lancelot. "I was busy, you see." The man smiled more broadly. "You overcame my greatest knights without paying attention? Please tell me your name." "Sir Knight, I am Sir Lancelot, just come to this land from France." "I am delighted to meet you," the man said. "You know, I thought you must be from another land. There aren't very many left-handed knights, and I thought I knew." "Oh, I am not left-handed," said Sir Lancelot. The man's the man's eyes widened. "But you used your left hand to unhorse all those knights." "My right hand was busy, Sir Lancelot," the man said earnestly. "I beg you to join my court, for I have never seen such skill as yours." "That is the most kind of you, sir," replied Sir Lancelot. "But I am afraid I cannot accept your generous offer." The man looked so disappointed that Sir Lancelot added, "Please don't be sad. It's just that I've come all this way to join King Arthur's court." At that, the man began to laugh. "But I am King Arthur." Sir Lancelot stared for a moment, then cried out, "Oh no, but this is awful." "Awful? But why?" Sir Lancelot gestured at himself. "Look at me. I'm covered with mud, and I did want to make a favorable first impression. Chapter 2: The Fastest Knight in England. In no time at all, the storytellers say, Sir Lancelot became the most famous of all King Arthur's knights in shining armor. No other knight rescued so many damsels in distress, or slew so many dragons, or overcame so many recreant knights, or, for that matter, kept his armor so tidy. He performed so many great deeds that he soon became known as Sir Lancelot the Great. Minstrels sang songs of his adventures, damsels sighed when he passed by. Boys playing knight all wanted to be Sir Lancelot, and young knights dreamed of one day defeating Sir Lancelot, because whoever did that, they thought, would take his place as the greatest knight in England. That last part soon got to be a problem. Everywhere Sir Lancelot went, knights were waiting to challenge him, all hoping to win fame and glory with one battle. Sir Lancelot defeated them all, but fighting every knight he met grew rather tiresome. So, when he rode out on a quest, he chose lonely paths. This was why he was riding alone through a quiet forest one day when he heard an unexpected sound. Wah! It was a damsel in distress. When you ride out on an up quest, you get to know that sound. Sir Lancelot turned toward and the wailing and soon came to a woman sitting alone beneath a great oak tree, crying with gusto. Good day, my lady, Sir Lancelot said politely. It was hard to know the right thing to say at times like this. Wah, the lady said. Sir Lancelot said, May I be of service, my lady? Ooh, can you tell me what is distressing you, my lady? Uh, I'll just wait here a bit. Then shall I wibble blither woo wah wah. So Sir Lancelot sat on his horse and waited. No one can cry forever, and when at last the lady had used up all her tears, Sir Lancelot asked again, Can you tell me what is distressing you? It's my falcon, the lady gasped. Now in those days noble lords and ladies used to train falcons to hunt for them. They kept them on leashes, then set them free to hunt small birds. A well-trained falcon, that is, one that would come back, was quite valuable. What happened to your falcon, my lady? It flew away. It was a gift from my husband, the woman wailed, beginning to cry again. Not all falcons were well trained. I'm sorry to hear it, my lady, said Sir Lancelot. I wish I could help you. Would you? The woman exclaimed, her tears snapping at once. If I could, Sir Lancelot replied. But how? I can chase a falcon through the sky. Oh, you don't have to chase her at all, the woman said, smiling brightly. She's right up there. The woman pointed up. There, at the top of the oak tree was a falcon. Her leash tangled in the small branches. Oh, said Sir Lancelot. You said you'd help, the woman reminded him. Yes, I did. The thing is, it's rather hard to climb trees in armor. Can't you take your armor off? The woman asked. She sniffled. Sir Lancelot frowned. He had just had his armor shined and didn't like to leave it lying around. Then he sighed. Of course, my lady. 20 minutes later, his armor and sword stacked neatly beside a bush. Sir Lancelot began climbing the tree. While he climbed, he wondered how to untangle an angry falcon from a tree without getting pecked. But soon he saw what to do. Coming to the branch where the bird was tangled, he simply broke it off at the base and tossed the whole branch free. Bird and branch fluttered and crashed to the ground, and Sir Lancelot wiped his brow with relief. "Ha ha! Sir Lancelot the Great!" shouted a gruff voice. Sir Lancelot looked down. Things had changed below. The crying woman was gone, and her place stood an armored knight with a drawn sword. "Pretty neat." "Hey, hey!" the knight crowed. "I beg your pardon." Sir Lancelot replied. "I got you to take off your armor and put away your sword. Now you're helpless, and when I've slain you, I, Sir Pelot, will be known as the greatest knight in England." "Sir Pelot?" "That's right," the knight replied. "Sir Pelot the Great." "Pleased to meet you," Sir Lancelot murmured. "So all this business with the falcon was a trick?" "That's right," Sir Pelot said. "Clever, eh? And that lady was your wife?" "Don't be silly. She's an actress. I've already paid her and sent her off." "An actress?" repeated Sir Lancelot admiringly. "She's very good, isn't she?" "Yes, yes," Sir Pelot said curtly. "And now I have you. Come down from that tree and face your doom." Sir Lancelot looked at Sir Pelot for a long moment, then stretched out on a sturdy branch. "No," he said. "What do you mean?" "What do you mean, no?" Sir Pelot demanded. "I'm comfortable," said Sir Lancelot. He leaned against the trunk of the tree and closed his eyes. "Oh, for heaven's sake," Sir Pelot said. "Whatever do you think you're doing? You can stay up in the tree forever." "Why not?" "Well, you'll get hungry for one thing," Sir Pelot said. "So will you," Sir Lancelot pointed out. Sir Pelot frowned over this for a moment. If he left the tree to get food, Sir Lancelot would get away. "Well, you have to sleep sometime." Sir Lancelot only smiled. "Oh, stop being so childish," snapped Sir Pelot, stamping his foot. "You know perfectly well that you have to come down eventually." Sir Lancelot ignored him. Licking his lips, he began to whistle softly, trying to remember a song that he had heard from a minstrel at King Arthur's court. "What's that noise?" Sir Pelot demanded. "It's a love song," Sir Lancelot replied. "It's called Lud Sing Cuckoo." "What? Sing cuckoo?" "Lud," Sir Lancelot said. "I think it means loud." "Why not say so then?" Sir Lancelot sniffled. You obviously don't understand art. Actually, this is quite a lucky chance for me. Back at court when I sing, people always remember that they have somewhere else to be. Sir Gawain says that I'm tone deaf, but he's Scottish and listens to bagpipes. So, how would he know? With that, Sir Lancelot burst into enthusiastic song. "Summer is I coming in, would sing hoo hoo." Sir Pelot removed his helmet and covered his ears, so Sir Lancelot sang it again. Louder this time. He sang for more than an hour, until his voice grew tired. He didn't know any other song. In fact, he only knew those two lines on this one. But he didn't mind singing the same lines over and over. Sir Pelot's staff wadded up, leaves in his ears, and covered his head with his arms. But he was still making whimpering noises by the time Sir Lancelot's voice grew weary. No one can sing forever, though, and at last Sir Lancelot stopped. Sir Pelot carefully removed his earplugs and picked up the tree. "Are you done?" he asked. Sir Lancelot didn't reply. He was looking at a cluster of acorns not far from his head. Picking one acorn, he held it out over Sir Pelot and let it drop. Plink went the acorn of Sir Pelot's armor. Stop that, Sir Pelot said. Plink, plink. That one sounded different, Sir Lancelot said. What did it hit? Sir Pelot put his helmet back on. Plink, will you kindly cut that out? Shouted Sir Pelot. He began jumping up and down, waving his arms and growling fiercely. He scuffed the dirt with his feet, then kicked the base of the tree very hard. Then he said a great many colorful words and sat down, holding his foot with one hand and screaming with frustration. Sir Lancelot stopped throwing acorns and watched Sir Pelot's tantrum with interest. Sir Pelot cursed and roared and threatened and screamed for a very long time, but at last he grew hoarse and lapsed into panting silence. Plink! Sir Lancelot thought he heard a sobbing noise from inside Sir Pelot's helmet. But then Sir Pelot leaped to his feet. No, I won't give up. I will defeat Sir Lancelot and became the greatest knight in England. Plink! You're just making it worse for yourself. You know you're making me angry. Plinkety, plink, plink, plink. Stop that. If you don't stop dropping nuts on me, I'll just cut down your tree. Sir Lancelot stopped throwing acorns and said admiringly, now that's quite clever. You should go home and get an axe at once. Sir Pelot laughed. How stupid do you think I am? Sir Lancelot did not reply. I'm going to cut down the tree with my sword, Sir Pelot declared. Ah, Sir Lancelot said very softly. That's stupid. He dropped two more acorns. Plink, plink. With a roar of rage, Sir Pelot drew back his sword and swung it with all his strength against the trunk of the tree. The blade sank deep into the wood. Sir Pelot chuckled to himself, then tagged the hilt sharply. The sword remained in the tree. Sir Pelot tagged it again. Harder. He walked around the tree and kicked it. He braced one foot, then both feet against the trunk and pulled it with all his might. The blade wouldn't budge. While he tugged and yanked and grunted over his sword, Sir Lancelot quietly climbed down the tree and dropped noiselessly to the ground. Taking up his own sword, he stepped behind Sir Pelot. Do you need some help? No, thank you. Sir Pelot snapped irritably. I can do it myself. What if you tried to pry it out with another sword? Sir Pelot turned around and snapped. Now, where am I going to find another? Another? Oh dear. It is very difficult to run fast or far while wearing armor, but the storytellers say that day Sir Pelot broke all the records. In fact, the run of Sir Pelot became proverbial in King Arthur's court. Sir Pelot was called the fastest knight in England, and every exceptionally speedy runner would be called a regular Sir Pelot. And so, as it happened, Sir Pelot did become famous for his speed, and perhaps that would have satisfied him. No one can say for sure, though, because Sir Pelot was never seen in England again. Chapter 3. Sir Sir Kay's Restful Quest. Although Sir Lancelot usually rode alone when he went questing, one time he agreed to ride with a friend, Sir Kay. Sir Kay was King Arthur's foster brother, and years before had been one of the heroes of Camelot. But Sir Kay was older now and seldom went out questing these days. So when he did, he thought it would be good to have Sir Lancelot along. After all, he thought, who would dare challenge the greatest knight in England? Sir Kay looked forward to a restful quest. After 3 days, though, Sir Kai wasn't sure. They met no dragons to slay, no recreant knights, and not one damsel in even a tiny bit of distress. Restful began to feel a lot like boring. Worst of all, sure to Sir Guy's astonishment, every afternoon Sir Lancelot stopped for a nap. Naps? Expostulated Sir Guy. Is this what you call questing? I like I like afternoon naps, Sir Lancelot explained. They're very refreshing. So for 3 days after lunch, Sir Kai sat around while his companion refreshed himself. This is taking restfulness too far, Sir Kai muttered on the third afternoon. I suppose I could look about for a little adventure while Lancelot has his beauty sleep. With that, Sir Kai mounted his horse and cantered off into the forest. When Sir Lancelot awoke that day, he knew at once that something was wrong. To begin with, he had been awaked by someone tightening ropes around his hands and feet, which was not at all normal. Also, at his feet sat four ladies in crowns, and he couldn't remember even ever waking up with queens at his feet. Sir Kai was nowhere to be seen. Good afternoon, your highness, said Sir Lancelot. You're Sir Lancelot, aren't you? One queen asked breathlessly. Yes, I am. Where are my hands? Why are my hands? All four queens squealed with delight. I knew it! I knew it! The first queen said. I recognize his shining armor, said the second. I knew it from his shield, said the third. He's so handsome, added the fourth. Is it true you've never lost a tournament? Asked the first. Did you really defeat the great Sir Carados? Added the second. And slay the two giants of Tintagel? Queried the third. He's so handsome, said the fourth. My ladies, replied Sir Lancelot, may I ask your names? The first lady replied, I am the Queen of Gore. This is the Queen of Northgales, the Queen of Island, and the Queen of Out Isles. He's so handsome, commented the Queen of Out Isles. Charmed to meet you, Sir. Charmed to meet you, Sir Lancelot said. And if I may ask, why are my hands and feet tied? It's only temporary, the Queen of Gore assured him. We've sent for soldiers from my castle, and as soon as they put you in my dungeon, we can remove your bonds. Your dungeon? Just for a little while, the Queen of Gore said, smiling. You'll be freed soon. How soon? Asked Sir Lancelot. As soon as you choose one of us for your true love. Do choose me, interjected the Queen of North Gales. No, pick me, cried the Queen of Island. He's so handsome, added the Queen of the Out Isles. Ah, said Sir Lancelot wearily. That's soon. For 2 days, Sir Lancelot paced back and forth in the Queen of Gore's dungeon. Every morning, the Queen snapped in and asked him to choose one of them as his love forever. And every morning, Sir Lancelot politely declined. The only other person he saw was the Queen of Gore's lady-in-waiting, Blanche, who fed him. How are you today? Asked Blanche as she brought him lunch on the second day. Since she asked, replied Sir Lancelot, not very well. Have you chosen one of the queens to love yet? Asked Blanche. The thing is, Sir Lancelot explained, I don't love one of them at the moment. In fact, I don't even like them. To be honest, Blanche said, they're getting annoyed with you too, except the queen of the out Isle. Of course, she thinks. I know, sighed Sir Lancelot. I am so handsome. Well, yes, she does rather think that, Blanche admitted. She hesitated briefly, then said, Sir Lancelot? Yes. If I accidentally left your door unlocked, would you escape and find your way out of the castle, remembering to go left at every turning? Sir Lancelot blinked. I might, he admitted. Left at every turn, you say? That's right. And if you did find your way out and recover your horse and armor from the stables, the last stall on the right, would you go looking for adventure? Perhaps, said Sir Lancelot. And if you went seeking adventure and found a strong recreant knight named Sir Turquin the Rotten, who locks up all the knights he defeats in his dungeons, would you fight him and make him set his prisoners free, including a knight named Sir Bademus, who happens to be my brother? I would do my best, my lady, replied Sir Lancelot. Oh, said Blanche, I just wondered. Then she left without locking the door. Following Blanche's directions, Sir Lancelot escaped from the dungeon, recovered his horse and armor, and rode away from the castle of Gore. He had two tasks before him. First, to face the Sir Turquin, and second, to find Sir Kay. As fortune would have it, he completed both tasks at once, riding through a wood shortly after his escape. Sir Lancelot heard a muffled groan. Then the slow clapping of hooves. A moment later he came upon Sir Kay, bound and slung face down over his saddle, while a knight in black armor led Sir Kay's horse. Kay, said Sir Lancelot. Sir Kay twisted around and with effort looked up at him. Where the deuce have you been? It's a long story, replied Sir Lancelot. Have you been? Actually, said Sir Kay, not so well. I don't suppose you could lend a hand, could you? Sir Lancelot turned toward the Black Knight, who demanded gruffly, Are you a friend of Sir Kay's? I am. Then, know this, I am Sir Turquin the Rotten, and I hate all knights, but especially of those of King Arthur's court. I have sworn to attack all such knights that I meet. Why? Asked Sir Lancelot. Sir Turquin scolded. Because I'm a recreant knight, of course. It's what we do. I see, I see, replied Sir Lancelot. Just following the rules then. Somebody has to, said Sir Turquin. If only to keep the tradition alive. If you saw the shoddy work some of the young recreant knights are doing these days, you'd be shocked. Excuse me? Interrupted Sir Kay. If you two are quite done chatting, all right, Sir Lancelot said apologetically. He and Sir Turquin drew their sword and charged each other. It was a magnificent battle, if you like that sort of thing. Sir Lancelot had fought many great knights, but never had he faced so skillful a swordsman. They traded blows for more than an hour, which is quite a long time to fight in full armor. At last, exhausted, the two knights separated for a moment, gasping for breath. I had no idea. Recreant knights could do such good work, panted Sir Lancelot. Thanks, gasped Sir Turquin. I'll do. Take pride in my craft. You're rather good yourself. You're too kind. Sir Lancelot replied modestly. Sir Turquin took a deep breath. It goes against the grain put such a fine knight in my dungeon. I'd like to propose a truce. Unless, of course, he trailed off. Unless what? There's one knight I cannot have a truce with, said Sir Turquin, the knight who defeated my brother, Sir Carados. I have sworn never to make peace with Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot sighed. What a shame, he said. Oh, replied Sir Turquin, I see. With that, the two knights raised their weapons and hurled themselves at each other again for another hour. Sir Kai, hanging upside down, saw little of the battle, of course, but from what he saw, he always said afterward that never had such a fight been waged in England. As for Sir Lancelot, he would only say that he did not so much defeat Sir Turquin as outlast him. But outlast him he did. After the second hour, Sir Lancelot managed to land one blow on Sir Turquin's helmet that stunned the Black Knight for a moment. Another blow, and Sir Turquin sank to his knees, then tumbled over on his face, unconscious, staggering and barely conscious himself. Sir Lancelot untied his friend. Then Sir Kay helped the exhausted Sir Lancelot into his horse and led the way to Sir Turquin's castle. An hour later, the two friends were being joyfully thanked by dozens of knights whom they had released from Sir Turquin's dungeons. Among the freed knights were many friends from Camelot, as well as Sir Bademus, Blanchet's brother. Let's go find a quiet place in the woods. Kai, Sir Lancelot said, I need my afternoon nap. If you don't mind, would you wake me up tomorrow afternoon? Chapter 4, Return and Departure.